Hey book lovers! I've got an amazing book that I wanted to share with you this week. I was just recently in Malacca. I wanted to actually share it there and then, but I had to come back here and do it. So now I'm in my office and I'll be sharing this wonderful book by Yuval. Very challenging book for a lot of religious people, I must say. And he came out with this new book called The 21st Lessons for the 21st Century. And of course, it's going to be touching about religion, something that everyone knows Yuval for. Even myself, when I first touched Yuval's book, I was pre-warned by religious people not to read it because it kind of denounced religion and breaks apart religion as a fictional story that we all subscribe to. So it's controversial, but at the same time, it's scientific, and that's what I like about Yuval. So this book that he just launched is amazing, I would say. It opens up your mind to many different aspects of the world that we know today, from religion to how we're actually destroying it, to how we how we perceive ourselves in the world. There's just so much to share, so much rich studies in that book that I can't even begin to put it into 3 takeaways. So I'm going to try my best to do it for you. I'm going to make it as simple as possible for you in hopes that you will just get a gist of the book and you might just pick it up, right? It's about how our social structure is being challenged. In the book, he was sharing a little bit about how communism came into play, how fascism came into play, how the liberals and the democratic understanding of society came into play. And there was, of course, contentions in the 20th century where communism lost to the liberals, and of course fascism lost to the liberals. So we ended up in a social structure that we know today as the liberals, right? Everyone have the right to vote, everyone have the ability to determine his or her future. And that's great, because I live a very liberal kind of life. So the idea was that communism and fascism kind of died off, past. But what the book was sharing a little bit about was how the liberal movement is starting to break apart in its own right. And it's because of different aspects in liberalism alone that is breaking up their belief system. So now a lot of people are starting to wonder whether the democratic society and the liberal society is the way to go. There's a lot of chaos that comes along with it, lack of coordination that creates a lot of wastage in the system, high consumption, and of course with high consumption comes destruction to our ecosystem. And on top of that, because liberals have their own rights, they're broken up into the political aspect of it, the political liberals, the economical liberals, and personal liberals, right? And all of these have their own needs and wants, which sometimes conflict with each other. That's why you see a lot of chaos in democratic society, a lot of riots, a lot of people going to the streets to fight for their rights, which is great, everything, but that causes a lot of disruption to the economy. And a lot of people are starting to wonder, is this the right way to go? And on the other side of the world, you've got the socialist, the somewhat communist style of running countries like China. If there's a centralized party that controls everything, with the idea that they know what they're doing and they're doing it for the greater good without having this evil party running the whole country, then maybe that's the right way to go. Decision can be made fast. Those decisions can be put into enforcement faster, and you get this centralized control of the whole society like what China has. Okay. Now, of course, as we look at all of this, change in social structure, I think humans are not realizing the fact that there is another competing factor to our well-being and our future, One, of course, is artificial intelligence, automation, that will eventually be stealing our jobs in the future. Computers are going to get way much smarter than us because they can consume a larger amount of data, process it, and come up with better insights than even us can do it. Computers can coordinate themselves better if it's designed well. In the future, maybe even computers will be designing computer algorithms for other computers, so that will be quite interesting. And then on top of that is cyber war. As the more we all get onto the internet, the more that we all want to be connected through not only our social connections but also through our engagements with companies and our countries, the more there's a big possibility for cyber wars. So in the future, no one actually really fights with weapons anymore. They'll just show off what weapons they have, but all you need to do is disrupt someone's cybersecurity, have access to it, and disrupt the systems in the country. You can pretty much bring a country down to its knees. For example, if Russia wants to do it, they can play around with the American voting system, influence it. Why not? You're hacking into it. Or it can be disrupting a power grid, destroying the network. So cybersecurity is a big thing in the future, and I think it's going to get more and more sophisticated, and that will kind of like disrupt humanity's progress towards the future. So I'll read a quote for this takeaway by Yuval's book. It says, economic growth cannot save the global ecosystem. It is just the opposite. It actually causes ecological crisis. So what he's trying to say is that the more we think that the economy will grow, it will save us from self-destruction. Contrary to that, the more we grow, the more we destroy the very place that is supporting us, which is actually our planet Earth. For all of you religious people out there, this is Yuval. I can't say much about the book, but Yuval clearly states that, of course, all religion that we subscribe to today are really fictional stories that are created by very creative people, and from his worldview, all of these stories are really made up by people, and they are not true. And the reason why we need stories in our lives today is because we use stories to make sense of the world that we don't understand. We use stories to comfort ourselves. When someone passes away, we think they're going to heaven, and this is kind of like a concept or a narrative that we want to believe in order to make sense of our grievances and our lives, and that's why we create stories like that. We also use stories to unite us so that we don't kill ourselves, so that we can work together to create the cities that we see today. And that was done in the Roman era, the Christendom era, where governments and leaders use Christianity to garner the people together to create cities and go to war. Religion becomes very strong when it's coupled with rituals, and rituals could be how you operate in church, the buildings you see, your family believing in it. And after a while, with enough ritual acts, you would solidify the whole storytelling's narrative to make it real. And the mind can do that. The mind can make things real. It manifests itself into the real world to the point where religion is real. So I'm going to read the last quote for this last takeaway, and it's got something to do with religion. In the 21st century, religions don't bring rain, they don't cure illness, they don't build bombs, but they do get to determine who are us and who are they, who we should care for or who we should bomb. Leaving you with that note, check out the book. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll be reviewing more books in the future. I'm going to be launching a couple more videos of people who are sharing their books that they love very much. So if you are one of those, please join me on the channel. I would love to learn more about you and your book. As for now, happy reading!